Hi there, good morning. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. Welcome to day 13 of my December dailies. This is a quick one. This is actually, I've already done the work for it. There wasn't a lot of work. This one's a really simple one. This is it today. That is it. I haven't written in, which is why it looks rather sparse, but I'll explain why. First of all, let's do our list. My Barbara list is number 16, add your own handwriting. And then for my personal list, it's going to be memorable gifts, and not even necessarily memorable gifts I received, but gifts that I remember in general. Like, for example, here's a little example. We always found that Christmas would have a theme and nobody had planned on the theme. Like, we would have a Christmas because it was always the two families coming together. My aunt, my dad's sister, my Aunt Gladys and her family and ours, we always spent Christmases together. And it would seem like at the end of all the ripping of the wrapping, we'd go, wow, everyone got socks. You got socks? Did you get socks? Or we'd have, the ladies would have a hat Christmas where they all got a new hat or a new purse. I remember the purse Christmas, especially because I don't know about your families, but in our family, it was considered bad luck to give someone a purse or a wallet and not have money in it. You have to start them off. You have to feed the kitties, sort of thing. So, there were lots of hooping and hollering, especially because Granddad tried his best to put a little bit more into Gran's new purse for her. Memorable gifts like that. And I remember the year I got a bicycle. I especially remember it because I wasn't expecting a bicycle. I certainly hadn't asked for a bicycle, but it was nice to receive. But here was the kicker for me for my bicycle was it was so huge I couldn't ride it for years. My father was a very practical man, and he knew that it just didn't make sense to buy a very little child a very little bicycle, that I would outgrow it. So he bought me an adult-sized bicycle. So I got to look at it for a few years, and then I did grow into it. I don't want to sound ungrateful. It was a beautiful bicycle. It was brand new. But yeah, I could not sit on the seat and pedal at the same time. My legs were not long enough, and it took a few years. I could ride it just using the pedals, but I couldn't sit down. Because it was a girls' bike back then. I don't know, do they still sell boys and girls' bikes? But back then the bar came down because supposedly girls would ride their bikes wearing a dress, and the bar would. Anyhow, so because the bar came down, I could at least ride the bike, but I couldn't sit on the seat for the longest time. But you know what? It was memorable. Or the year I got a little electric, one of those Orcana organs. Oh my goodness! Now that one was magical. I loved, using the keyboard, and it had just basic chords on the side, so I could figure it out myself. And oh my goodness, that was wonderful. But let me talk about my simple page here. My simple page partly is for a reason. There's a little girl there, and she's got a dolly. And certainly for me, anyone giving me a gift as a child could never go wrong with a doll. I loved dolls. I still love dolls. I love paper dolls. I love real dolls. I only have one doll left from my childhood. My the day I was born, I was her first granddaughter after having 6 grandsons. And the day I was born, she rushed out and bought a doll for me on the day. Well, I guess it was the day after I was born, because I was born close to midnight. So I guess she would have gone out the next day and got me a doll. And I still have that doll that Gran got for me. But yeah, I loved dolls. So I thought this was rather appropriate. This little ragamuffin girl with her beloved little doll there. And I thought I'd write about just memorable gifts, not only for me, but for anyone. And when I was thinking about memorable gifts, it got me thinking, and I had to go dig this out and bring it out, because this was my granddad's journal. And he always had a journal going, and this was only his last one. Dad doesn't know where his other journals went, but we do have this one, and this was from about the 1940s up until Granddad passed away in 1969. And he just always kept track of I love that this is his writing. I love that I can feel it, the pen pushing into the paper. He kept track of his paychecks and how much was, how much tax was taken off and that sort of thing for his pays. In it, he wrote here, that was his speech at his daughter's wedding, my Auntie Gladys. He gave a little speech at her wedding. Just a lovely little speech on how he met his son-in-law. It's very sweet. They were never rich, but he did invest some money in some stocks, and he kept track of them. So here was his Consolidated Building stocks and his Bell Telephone stocks. Consumers Gas. I love how he spelled gas. GASS, 1962. What else? Oh, this was 1967, still keeping track of his stocks. I love this. These were his pensions, keeping track of him and Gran. They always called each other Mom and Dad. They never called each other by name. And their pensions, look at this, for 1968, they both received $102.10 a month, and that's what they lived off of. And they lived fine. They had a lovely little apartment in a seniors building. And it was a beautiful little apartment on the main floor, which meant that they had a little garden they could walk out to. I remember their apartment very well. And in the back, now long way around, Catherine always has a reason, he kept track of the gifts that he bought. And he has it, he lists various things that he purchased. He bought a piano for Auntie Gladys. She played the piano. Washing machine, 1940, he got a new washing machine, so Gran must have been thrilled over that. Well, he must have been too, I can only imagine. Here's my dad's car. He bought my dad a car in 1943 for $100. Oh, hold on, I got a picture of that car. Hold on. This is the car that Granddad bought. That's my dad, that's my mom. Aren't they handsome? Anyhow, that's the car that's listed here in Granddad's journal. I love that. Just different things. And here, this is where I love it. Gran loved nice things, even though they weren't wealthy. She did like to be able to try and keep up with her sisters. She had a lot of sisters, Aunt Dolly and Aunt Maud and Auntie Ethel. So it looks like for Christmas in 43, he got her a diamond. That would have been her engagement ring. He got her a watch in 41 for Christmas. A drafting board for my dad in 44. I love all these things. Oh, he got Gladys a watch in 41. I just love that he kept track of all the photo album in 1946. Oh, Gran got a fur coat in 46. How nice. So I love that he kept track of all these things. Oh, he kept track of their budgies. So they always had budgies. Here in Canada, we call them budgies. I know down in the U.S., I could be wrong, but I believe you call them parakeets down in the U.S., but we call them budgies here. Anyhow, and I recognize a lot of addresses here of family. Anyhow, this sort of got me when I was thinking of gifts, and I knew that Granddad had kept a list of some of the gifts that he purchased and what he paid for them. So that's why there's a lot of blank space in this book. I realize where I get this from, because this is how I approach a journal too. I write certain things in the front, and I also write in the back, and I move forward, and then I eventually meet in the middle. And now I see, I realized it going through this, that I somehow or other must have got that from my Granddad. Anyhow, there's lots and lots of blank paper, so I used one. And I'm going to write about memorable gifts on Granddad's ledger paper. So I put it on there, and I think it looks really nice. And maybe no one else will ever know, but I know that that's Granddad's ledger paper there, and out of his out of his little improved compact binder. It said it's refillable, but I don't know how on earth you would... Oh, I see how it's refillable. You just pull this out. Oh, look at that. I didn't even know that. Isn't that something? So you pull that out and slide it in. Well, how clever. So that's why this looks so old. He probably would pull out the old one and just pitch it and start a new one. Maybe that's why we never ever found his other journals. Family, it's just always a mystery to be solved, isn't it? Anyhow, so that is why today's entry is quite simple and quite plain. I just loved this little girl showing her dolly, mittens and hat and that. So she, I thought that's sweet. You can see the little doll's dress tucked under her arm. So, and what is it about children, not just little girls? My sons liked playing with dolls. I made sure all toys were available for all of my children. But something about children liking to take all the clothes off their dolls. So I decided in my book here that Granddad's ledger paper would go beside the picture of Gran with her rocket kitchen garbage can. And that's where that's going to fit in the book there. So it was very simple today. I'm going to actually go right now and make myself a pot of tea. And I'm going to write out the different gifts that I remember in particular. And yeah, so I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. And take care, and we will talk again tomorrow. Bye.